To the dais here so we can, really embarrass you with everything. So, this is a certificate of recognition. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of municipal clerk provides the professional link between citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the hard work and dedication of many years given to the position for the betterment of the city of Crescent City, and whereas Robin Patch began her tenure with the city of Crescent City in 2006 as a part-time typist clerk at Crescent City Police Department, and over the years served in several other capacities, including deputy city clerk, part-time police record specialist, and elected city clerk. And now, therefore, it be recognized that the mayor and the city council of the city of Crescent City do hereby thank Ms. Patch for her years of dedication to the city and would like to extend their appreciation to her for the vital services she performed during her tenure as city clerk.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so very much for this acknowledgement. It means a lot to me. And seeing you gentlemen up here, it was a great election cycle to see you too, and I'm just excited. Sorry that I couldn't be here to see you as mayor, sir. And to see you continue on the dais, and then you, sir. Best vote. There's actually three of the greatest votes I've ever cast were in this election cycle. So, and I'm very pleased to see that two are sitting on this dais. It wasn't my choice to leave, but I just wanted to thank you guys so much for acknowledging the years of dedication and integrity and character that I gave the city, and this means so very much to me. And if I could name just about everybody at City Hall that had something to do with my success, I'd do that, but it would take the rest of the council time because I know that you guys have this down to a fine science. And just a few of them are sitting here, Miss Martha, and you guys are in really great hands with Kimmy, and I'm very pleased that she's there, and of course Eric and Fritz and Emily. So anyways, thank you guys so very much. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, all right. Well, next on our agenda is consent calendar. And is there any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing no public comment, bring it back to the council. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar and as it on the whole consent calendar at one time.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second. Can we pull the vote, please?
Councilmember Inscore,
Yes.
Councilmember Hawley,
Yes?
Pro Tem Ania,
Yes.
and Mayor Gastineau.
Yes. All right. We have no reports or presentations. We are now in the communications part of our meeting, public comment period. Any member of the audience is invited to address the City Council on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the City of Crescent City. Comments of public interest or on matters appearing on the agenda are accepted. Note, however, the council is not able to undertake extended discussion or act on non-agendized items. Such items can be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on a future agenda. Any comments that are not on the microphone are out of order and will not be part of the public record. After you're receiving recognition from me, please state your name and city or county residency for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment? Well, seeing no public comment, we'll just move on. Now you close public comment. And we are on to public hearings. Item 5, consider the adoption, resolution number 2014-46, a resolution authorizing the sale of the city's 50% interest in Pacific Shores subdivision lot APN 107-211-13 to the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority. Mr. Palazzo.
Yeah, I'll have Ms. Rice present this item.
Yes.
So we discussed this issue or this topic at a meeting in November. And just to refresh your memory, the city owns a 50% interest in a lot in the Pacific Shores subdivision. Currently, the airport, the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority, of which the City of Crescent City is a member, is going through its RSA project to extend the runway safety areas of the runways at the airport to maintain its commercial status. As part of that project, the airport's required to do a certain amount of wetland mitigation. Part of this project, or this aspect of the project, the wetland mitigation is taking place at Pacific Shores. The airport is through FAA grant purchasing lots in the Pacific Shores subdivision and has offered to purchase this lot in which the city owns a 50% interest. So we have noticed this public hearing this evening for the city's intent to sell its 50% interest to the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority, and recommend that you hold a public hearing, consider any protests, if any are received, and then approve and adopt the resolution authorizing the sale of the city's 50% interest in this Pacific Shores subdivision lot.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? No? Is there any public comment on this selling the 50% lot to the Border Coast Regional Authority?
We need to open a public hearing.
Oh, public hearing? All right. We will open up the public hearing. And now we have public comment.
Yes.
All right. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, we'll bring it back to the council. And is there a motion for anybody to adopt this resolution?
Interesting. I'll move to approve and adopt resolution number 2014-46, a resolution authorizing the sale of the city's 50% interest in Pacific Shores subdivision lot APN 107-211-13 to the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right. We have a first and a second. Could you please pull the vote?
Councilmember Inscore,
Yes.
Councilmember Hawley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mania,
Yes.
Mayor Gastineau.
Yes. That is unanimously adopted. Okay, we'll go on to number 6. Consider for approval resolution number 2014-44, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crescent City approving a requested street name change from South A Street to Lighthouse Way pursuant to Government Code Section 34091.1. Mr. Palazzo.
Mr. Mayor, as a chairman of the Planning Commission, this came before us this last month, and so to make sure that there's not any conflict of interest, I'd like to recuse myself from this discussion until you have made your decision.
All right, thank you. We'll get back to you.
And Mayor Gastineau, Mr. Taylor will present this item.
Mr. Taylor.
Good evening. Just give a brief overview, and then I'll go into my presentation here. Be pretty quick. City staff was contacted by residents of South A Street. Just so you know, South A Street's kind of divided there at the Ocean View Lodge, formerly Hampton Inn. Anything north of that is considered A Street, and everything south of that is considered South A Street. We were contacted by the residents of South A Street. They had some concerns over some confusion between A Street addresses and South A Street addresses, and they also thought South A Street didn't really represent the character of the neighborhood as much as Lighthouse Way would. So I'll go through a quick presentation here, and then this did go before the Planning Commission at their November meeting, and they did unanimously approve making a recommendation move this forward to the City Council. So you can see we kind of put a mock So the residents of South A Street all got together, and they actually, it has a pretty good support here, almost unanimously. I'd say, at least at the Planning Commission, everybody who spoke in favor of this project. I didn't have anybody speak out against the name change. This is the petition that was submitted. There's actually 2 pages here. And so the concerns, residents had cited several examples of confusion over A Street and South A Street addresses. You'll probably hear some of those a little later on. Residents feel that the name South A Street does not accurately represent the character of the neighborhood. Obviously, in that the South A Street also added that zone, the CZR1B, which is the coastal zone residential single-family neighborhood. It's the only designation like that in the city. And obviously it's because of the character of the neighborhood there right on the coast and next to the lighthouse and the pier, all the other amenities down there. And the other thing they brought up at the Planning Commission meeting, that a lot of residents cited examples of visitors stopping and asking them directions right on South A Street because they couldn't find the lighthouse. So obviously renaming it the Lighthouse Way would probably give better direction. Some photographs here. So this is looking north, down South A Street, back towards, as you see, the Ocean View Lodge there. And then the other street sign intersection here would be Front Street meets South A Street. Then again, this would be looking south down South A Street, obviously towards the coastline here. You can see the harbor out there in the distance. Again, this is what you see when you get to the end of South A Street. Of course, you see the B Street Pier and the jetty. And of course, the iconic Battery Point Lighthouse. Again, at their November 13, 2014 meeting, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to make a recommendation to the City Council, recommending that renaming South A Street to Lighthouse Way will eliminate confusion about A Street addresses, and that Lighthouse Way is illustrative of the coastal surroundings. General plan policy. General plan does have a policy under Section 5, Recreational and Coastal Resources, again 5.E.8, and it states that the city shall develop a roadway sign program which provides for specially marked scenic driving routes, which visitors can follow to visit coastal scenic areas in the Crescent City urban area, including the harbor and lighthouse to lighthouse routes. So this makes sense if you think about it. You have your lighthouse to your lighthouse, renaming the streets to kind of fit in the scenic drive, where we already know where the scenic drive, pretty much currently progresses that direction. If you go down Howe Drive, you wind up over there at the end of B Street and of course Battery Street in South A, or you turn up and you go up Pebble Beach Drive, all the way out to the Point St. George area. So it makes sense to, in order to create this route, to actually have street names that are indicative that people can relate to this route. And then authority. The authority to make the name change is obviously the City Council decision. It's under California Government Code, and of course specifically it's section 34091.1, and it's there. I don't need to read it, but basically says if the legislative body finds that the name change should be adopted and applied to any street, to any city street, or the existing name of any city street should be changed, the legislative body may adopt a resolution, which we've attached that to the staff report. And then the second section kind of applies is 34092. Basically, it just states if you do make this street name change, that we need to forward that to the Board of Supervisors to inform them as well. And again, just another example of the mock-up, what it would look like there at the intersection. And that's the end of the slideshow.
All right. Any questions from the council?
Just that the second page of the petitioners had a lot of names that didn't have signatures. Would that necessarily mean they were opposed, or maybe they chose
No,
not to sign?
actually, some of the residents, the names were on there that didn't sign. They actually showed up to the meeting and they spoke in favor of this.
Okay.
Now, the only negative part, and I would say negative, when the concerns, and it's legitimate, when you do a name change like this, folks have to change, obviously, their addresses on their checks or other documents for businesses. So again, as I put in the end of the staff report, that we recommend, giving a little bit of a grace period here, maybe a month or two, to allow people a chance to make those changes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there any public comment on this issue?
I'm Tamara Layton, and I live at 183 South A Street. Is that not a great-looking little mini there? I am here in support of the name change. A lot of folks in our neighborhood did attend the Planning Commission meeting and spoke out in support of this project. I do want to make one clarification. Mr. Hawley, your question about the second page of signatures, all of the names were on the first page. There was 2 folks who signed the second page because we weren't all in the community at the same time. So there was 1 full page of signatures, but the signatures came in on different pages. So the second page where it appeared that it was a row of blank signatures, those same names appeared on the first page.
I didn't have
signed.
it happen really fast.
Right, I just
Thank you.
wanted to make that point of clarity. I did have an experience where my child was having a very serious seizure, and the ambulance couldn't find her house. They went to the end of A Street at the hotel, and, you know, I hate telling these personal stories in public, but it is rather unnerving to have a community as small as Crescent City and have something so confusing as 183 A Street and 183 South A Street. It makes a lot of sense for the community, it makes sense for our neighborhood, and I think it's a safer decision for wayfinding for a lot of different reasons. So I would really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Roger Gitlin. I live in the city, and I live at 225 South A Street. And Councilmember Hawley, I just wanted to explain that that back page actually was 2 parcels owned by an out-of-town person, and one was the vacant lot, and the other one was his residence at 200 A Street. It's across the street. So we have, of the 7 property owners, 6 have acknowledged that they wish that. So I just think it makes sense. It's city planner, Mr. Taylor, explained it very well. Pebble Beach has an allure to it. I can't imagine Pebble Beach being named A Street, going up and down A Street, looking at that beautiful ocean, and we hope to draw the attention of the lighthouse and take advantage of the ambiance. And of course, when the hotel was put in years ago, it split the area. The hotel address is actually 100 A Street, neither north nor south, just 100 A Street. Where the old hospital is, that is actually the 200 block of North A Street, or at this place, A Street. It wasn't north or south. So there is confusion since I live at 225 South A Street, and there's a 200 block, which is the old hospital. So there's some confusion when and if that hotel is developed into another form of address. So we just think it makes sense, and the community wants it, and the new resident who actually was not here tonight, Mr. and Mrs. Fleming, who moved in, actually, it was their idea. We walked it around the neighborhood and got universal response. So that's it, and we appreciate your support on that. Thank you.
All right, any other public comment? See none, we'll close public comment. Bring it back to the council.
Well, I'll move for approval of Resolution 2014-44, a resolution of the City Council of Crescent City approving a requested name change from South A Street to Lighthouse Way pursuant to Government Code Section 34091.1.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have first and second. Could you please call the vote?
Councilmember Hawley,
Yes.
Pro Tem Mania,
Yes.
Mayor Gastineau.
Yes. All right, yes, go give Mr. Inscore, please. All right. Okay, we're on to item number 7, under continuing business, authorize the city manager to sign a maintenance agreement for the proposed Veterans Monument. Mr. Palazzo.
Yeah, I'll have Mr. Weir present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Gastineau, members of the council. So we are back before you with the maintenance agreement for the Veterans Monument. The agreement in itself, as far as the actual responsibility for maintenance, it remains the same. The Veterans Council, Del Norte Veterans Council, after the construction of the monument, will be responsible for the maintenance. They have an estimated cost of that annual maintenance of $5,370, which they are prepared to use to replace flags, lights, replace the shrubs and annuals, as well as monthly maintenance of the monument. Also included in this agreement is the installation of $75,000 to cover extended costs or major maintenance items that might occur within the monument itself at some time. The agreement states if the maintenance of the monument is not being done, this money will be held in a joint account that the city could have access to, so that we could use that money for maintenance items. At the last council meeting, several policy directions were given to staff to come back and incorporate it within this agreement. One of which is the ownership, which was addressed last time. The city will take ownership of this monument after it's constructed. With that ownership comes liability as well. The water was also addressed at the last meeting and incorporated within this agreement that the city would take on the monthly water cost. Currently, that would be $18.11 per month. Electricity has also been included in this agreement. That's estimated to be between $50 and $70 per month, and that's based on their lighting study with the current power rate. The city would also be taking this on. Construction of the monument, though, is going to be on the Veterans Monument Committee and in part, I guess, the Del Norte Veterans Council. So they would be responsible for the installation of the irrigation system, the water meter, and then any service costs, that are associated with the construction. In a nutshell, that's basically the ongoing costs. I've spoken with Monty Mendenhall at Pacific Power. They cannot pay for the power itself, but they said there is an annual sponsorship that the city can apply for, and that they think this project would be an excellent candidate for something like that. So we would apply annually, and it could fund it to help offset some of those costs of the water and power that the city would be taking on. But again, this isn't a guaranteed revenue source, but it is something that he said would be favorable, at least at this point, with their current situation. I think in a nutshell, that's it. You'll see on the last page of the staff report, there's a summary of all the costs. So if you look, the annual cost that they've stated is $5,370. The annual water cost would be just over $200 per year. The city would be taking on, and then power is estimated somewhere around $700 per year. Any questions?
So are we going to put a hookup directly to the monument around there and possibly a spigot for them to use hoses to help clean it?
Yeah, that would be the plan. That the details would have to be worked out in their final design with exactly where that tap would be, but it would be a tap off of the existing infrastructure that's there with a meter and then a spigot for maintenance.
Any other questions from the council?
Hi, Eric. Just the one other thing that I think that was in question somewhat at the last meeting was who the agreement was with. It's the Del Norte Veterans Council.
I think we have clarified that, yes. So it's Del Norte Veterans Council, and Ms. Rice can maybe speak to it a little bit more than I can, but they are still in the process of incorporating as a group. So they're in the process of applying for their 501c3. But that is who the group is. Yeah, I believe that's their official name.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any more questions for Eric? Okay, public comment on this issue. Come on up and state your name and city or county resident.
Good evening. My name's Harlan Ziegler. I'm a resident of the county, and I'm also the president of the Del Norte Veterans Monument Committee. The last time I was up here, I told you this whole process has taken an awfully long time. It's like going on 8 years now. And so, it's just such a tremendous amount of work has been done by not only the veterans, but the city as well on this thing. And we'd like to see this agreed upon tonight so we can go ahead and move forward with this project and get our coastal development permit, because this is the one item that's holding us up. So we urge you to approve this, and we think this is a fair agreement, and that's all I'm going to address about it. Good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Good to see you, Mr. Zert.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and council and staff, I'd just like to offer 3 or 4 items to consider as your local veterans. We have served, fought, and sacrificed for the rights and the freedoms that we are experiencing here today. And in addition, the veterans, the local veterans, have invested hundreds of hours on this project. For me now, over 8 years. And in addition to that, at no cost to the city, the veterans are prepared to and proposing to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars for this project at no cost to the city. And we have done, the veterans has taken care of the architecture, the engineering, the consultants, and all of the application fees associated with this project for 8 years. And so, for probably all the wrong reasons, the project has been, the can's been kicked down the road in the past until now. And we've made a commitment and dedication in the expenditures to date and the future expenditures of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're asking for your partnership and participation at something less than $1,000 a year, potentially. So I would encourage you and urge you to be our partners, and actions speak louder than words. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing no other public comment, bring it back up to the council.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the work that has happened between last meeting and this meeting, or 2 meetings ago and this meeting. It looks like everything that I think the council was asking staff to do, and hopefully some agreements have been made and agreed to. And I just think that this is a great project, and I look forward to seeing it get off the ground. Congratulations to all of you.
All right.
With that, I'll make a motion that we approve the allocation of additional land for the Veterans Monument and associated landscaping to be reviewed at 2-year intervals to the Coastal Development Permit Extension, with the first interview scheduled for September of 2016.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a first and second. Could you please pull the vote?
Councilman,
Isn't that our next action? Do we
It's
need to
listed-
approve the maintenance agreement first?
Yeah.
Well, that's number 3, so
Oh, authorize the city manager to sign a maintenance agreement for the
That's the one
proposed
we need to
Veterans
do now.
Monument, number
Was that-
7. Did you go to the next one?
Yeah, the action would be to authorize city manager to sign a maintenance agreement.
okay, that's what I'll do. I'm sorry. I will move then that we authorize the city manager to sign the maintenance agreement.
And I'll second that. I thought that's what I was seconding before,
Sorry.
so, thanks.
All right. Can you pull the vote, please?
Councilmember Inscore?
Yes.
Councilmember Holly?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mania?
Yes.
Mayor Gastineau?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. On to new business. Thank you guys for coming. You can stick around if you want to. It's all exciting. I'm a politician. Okay. We'll just wait for a second for chamber to clear. All right. On the new business, item number 8, consider for approval resolution number 2014-45, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crescent City approving the grant of funds from the State Coastal Conservancy for the Beachfront Park Coastal Access Project. Mr. Palazzo.
And I'll have Mr. Taylor present this item.
Mr. Taylor.
Just give a quick recap and I have a brief presentation. This all started from the Beachfront Park Master Plan process. That plan was approved by the council last year. So after the approval of that, the master plan, we moved forward with trying to implement the plan. And one of the things that definitely came out of that planning process is that we now have more coastal access within Beachfront Park. Currently, we only have one access point, and more importantly, to have safe access. Currently, most of the access really is you're walking over a pretty precarious rock wall to access the beach. So we moved forward with this project. You might recall back in January, we came before the City Council to apply for a grant, and at that time we applied for, really was a Land Water Conservation Fund grant through the state parks, where the Coastal Conservancy was going to partner with the cities. They were going to put up 50% of the funding for that project, which that grant required a 50% match. Unfortunately, state parks decided through the first round they didn't want to take that project forward. Apparently, they were supposed to have a second round in October or sometime. I haven't heard back, but that's typical state parks. They'll usually push things out 3-6 months. But in the meantime, though, Conservancy decided they liked the project and they still want to move forward with it, and so they've decided to fund this project to the tune of a grant for $125,000, and I'll go through this brief presentation. Again, we looked at a general plan policy document as well as the master plan for the park, but it's under the coastal resources section under Chapter 5, Policy 5D4. It states that the city shall work actively toward the attainment of maximum coastal access for the public, where it is consistent with public safety, property owner rights, and the protection of fragile coastal resources. I mean, I can't think of a better project to combine public safety with coastal access than this one. The proposed project really includes three main features, which is a new staircase at Howe Park East, a new ADA access ramp at Howe Park West, and informational signage. Other portions of the project, as funding allows, which we think will have funding for a lot of it, would include new picnic areas at Howe Park East, new walking paths at Howe Park East, and a new parking area, including ADA parking as well. And that would also be at Howe Park East. This is kind of a little excerpt from the Beachfront Park Master Plan, and this is that Howe Park East portion. And as you can see, it really includes a new parking area. This would be Stamps Way coming in with the redesign here. Your picnic areas here. And originally, if you remember, when we first proposed this project, it was to have a staircase with an ADA ramp included. Unfortunately, because of the change in the funding source, we're not able to do that project specifically. But I think actually this has turned out a little better for the access project. Again, so here's kind of the proposed change, and I'll go through that. So as you can see now, we'll have two separate points, the Howe Park East and at Howe Park West. And there's Howe Park East, so if you're not familiar with the area that we're the subject property, as you go down Stamps Way to Howe Drive, immediately to the left, there's this gravel parking area down there. And so this is where we propose to put the stairway, hopefully some new paths, to put some picnic areas along in here, as has been indicated in the Beachfront Park Master Plan. And again, you can see there's a good picture from the beach looking back up at that parking area, and you can see how, that's probably a good 8-9 feet on that wall there, and currently that's what folks are walking over. And you go down, you see a lot of folks, even when it's raining, going down that. It's pretty treacherous. And actually, I remember this came to when the environmental review came before the planning commission, one of the commissioners actually said that he had a friend go down this and fell and split his head wide open. So here's kind of the proposed, and keep in mind, we're not coming for approval for this project. This is the preliminary design, so we'll get down to the design phase as we move through this. But this is what we're proposing. This is kind of the concept plan that we pushed forward to Coastal Conservancy. And you can see that includes just the Howe Park East, and includes the picnic areas, the pathways. This is also the existing coastal trail, California Coastal Trail. And now it would just include a single staircase down there without that ramp. And of course, some additional parking. Then we'd move over to Howe Park West. As you can see, the city went in about 2 years ago under some Prop 40 funding, and we made some significant improvements down there. You can see the new picnic benches, all the new pathways, and the fire pits down there. And so this is looking back another way at all the new pathways that were installed, one of the little bump outs, the picnic area and the fire pit. And so in this area, probably along in here is where we're proposing. Oops. we're proposing the new ADA access ramp. And you'll see, just looking back at that area, you can see it has really not a very steep revetment there. And so it makes most sense to put it in here to have the least amount of elevation to go across. And so we're proposing for that area. You can see here's the existing Howe Park. Here's that picnic area. And you can see a little proposed access, and this is really an ADA access point. So it has a short pathway, and then it would end and terminate here at this viewing platform. And this will allow really folks, everybody with any type of disability, or of course a lot of people have different mobility, seniors, young children, but allow everybody a chance to come down and access the beach. And then Coastal Conservancy support, the city did receive, as we reported out in the past, the city received a $125,000 grant from the State Coastal Conservancy for the development of safe coastal access. And so part of that agreement, which was forwarded to us, in order to us to enter into the contract agreement, we have to pass this resolution, the city council does. And it's really, one is to accept the funds, and also it's designating positions whose incumbents are authorized to negotiate and execute the grant agreement and amendments to it on behalf of the grantee, which we named the position, which is city manager. So well, he's responsible for signing all the documents. So if anything goes wrong, it's on him.
As usual.
And that's the end of the presentation. So really what we're talking about here is having the city council approve the grant funding, pass the resolution so we can enter into the agreement with the Coastal Conservancy. On the city's side of things, we're pretty much putting about $30,000 in in-kind matching funds, which is really, for us, it's going to be project management, it's designing the project. The staircase, we're proposing a prefabricated staircase, so really we're talking about putting an upper and a lower landing. That staircase will span over top of that revetment, so there's the least amount of work having to go into that revetment itself, and the rest is pretty much putting in concrete pathways. We have approximately 2 years. We have to be completed at this project by February of 2017. So it really gives us about a year to put together the plan, get all the permitting, because it takes a while to also get the coastal development permit, and then about another year for construction. I assume this will probably take about 6 months from start to finish on this project.
That was my question. How long is it going to get done?
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick question about the stairs themselves. Since we have high tides and we have large wave action, do the lower steps get filled with stuff? I mean, will this be a maintenance issue over time?
They can. Well, hopefully not. I mean, over time, obviously, everything requires maintenance. But how other jurisdictions have dealt with this is they pour a fairly significant landing on the concrete. So it's designed to handle the rise. Like in wintertime, you'll get more sediment built up. In the summertime, it kind of goes away. So yeah, it will. It can handle that, where it'll get some fill and then it'll go back down again.
Is the intent then to adjust, adapt, update the beachfront master plan, that this will then take the place of the proposed design features that were part of that plan when it was approved?
I mean, correct. I mean, a master plan is always, it's not a set plan, right? Construction document. It's it's more kind of think of it as a design policy document to move forward.
But we're not talking about something that we're going to put in because we have access to grant money now, and then we're going to end up ripping this out to do something different.
No, it's in the Beachfront Park master plan. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's part of the planning process. It was an important part of this. I believe you were at a lot of those meetings, that the public wants this access project. And so the way we're designing it with the staircase there, that's where we're leaving also to try and put in the picnic area and the parking and all the things that you see in that Beachfront Park master plan.
Good. All right. Thank you.
You know, I will say, I watched children and older citizens climb over that riprap to get to the sandcastle stuff on the 4th of July, and I just held my breath during that whole event. So this would be great.
All right, so we just have to vote to accept money.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number.
Do you want to ask for any public comment?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
sorry.
Public comment on this. Is there any public comment? Thank you. Seeing no public comment, I'll bring it back to the council.
All right, then I would make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2014-45, resolution of the City Council of the Crescent City approving the grant funds from the State Coastal Conservancy for Beachfront Park Coastal Access Project.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
All right. We have first and second. Could you please pull the vote?
Councilmember Inscore?
Yes.
Councilmember Holly?
Yes.
Pro Tem Mania?
Yes.
Mayor Gastineau?
Yes.
So that includes the city manager as the designated person? Or should we want a separate?
Correct, and that's in the
That's in the
resolution.
resolution.
All right. Okay, on to more new business. Number 9, consider for approval the city council meeting calendar of 2015. Mr. Palazzo.
On this item, I was gonna see if Ms. Scott wanted to present it, but we didn't discuss it before the meeting.
All right, so this item, I'm not exactly prepared, but so we usually go through before the end of the year and approve a calendar for the next year. As you know, council meetings are usually held on the first and third Mondays of each month. However, several Mondays fall on a holiday next year. So the calendar as presented takes into account those holidays. It also takes into account the first meeting of January, during which time many people are still traveling or have just come back from travel for the holidays. There's also included in there a budget meeting.
And just, one thing to add, thank you. We looked at the council or the League of California City dates that they're holding some conference and training sessions this year. This year they're holding the Mayor and Council Members Executive Forum and the League of California Cities Annual Conference. There are no conflicts with our council dates with those meetings, so those dates fall in good spots.
So would we have a, excuse me, a special meeting for strategic planning?
At this point, my plan is to probably bring the strategic plan to the first meeting in January, which would be the second,
Third Monday.
third Monday, the 20th.
Oh, Tuesday.
Unless the council would like to have a special workshop to discuss strategic planning. That would be up to the council.
I think we ought to just see how we get through the meeting.
Sure. And if we need to have a special meeting, we can call it. That'd be the way to go.
Gene, I noticed that we're going to skip the first meeting in January by this calendar. There's no problem with timing of if we have rate issues or anything like that, and they require a certain timing, we'll be okay with that?
I don't believe we have any, issues at this point. If we do, we can always come back and, discuss that with the council and either, you decide to have the meeting or set a special meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the council? Any public comment on this? Seeing none. Do we need to do a vote on this, Gene, or just?
I think just, consensus would be fine on this.
We all good with it? We're good with it. Okay, now we go on to our next thing on the agenda, city council items, any legislative matters.
Got one more.
Oh, what do we got?
Boards.
Oh, boards.
Committees.
Oh, I don't have it on my electronic one because it was supposed to be underneath the reports.
You did that under council reports for the boards and committees.
Sure. Okay. You guys have old copies. I got the new one here. Okay, so any legislative matters?
I do not have any legislative matters for this meeting.
All right. City manager report?
Nothing to report.
No report. Always good. No news is good news. Reports, concerns, referrals from council, travel, and training reports. Mr. Inscore, would you like to go first? Anything happened since you were installed?
Nope.
Good job.
He's
I will be traveling in January to go to the League of Cities, do council member training. That's the 14th through the 16th, is that correct, Kimmy? Or 16th through the 18th, something in in January, so I'm looking forward to that.
And we are,
Good
I'm
times.
working with Councilmember Inscore to meet with all the departments and kind of get familiarized with our departments, our functions, the organization. And if other council members would like to participate in that, we can let you know when we schedule times, and you can certainly join.
Yeah,
one
anytime
other
after
person.
3:30 and on weekends, I'm good.
Had a wonderful time with our finance director. She got me up to speed and I memorized the city budget.
Excellent. Mr. Hawley?
Yes, thank you. As you know already, and the very, very good news is staff and myself traveled to Sacramento in mid-November. Actually, November 18th, we appeared before the State Water Board. And I just have to say it was probably the most exciting process that I have seen in public service so far. It was just the way strategically things were done by staff, going down a day early and trying to educate people on these issues and how important it was for our community, right down to the surprise of only having 3 members at the dais when it finally got to us 3 hours later than we thought it was going to. And the eloquent presentations made by Mr. Black and Mr. Weir that really were the foundational to their decision making. So the end result is we're going to save the ratepayers over $15 million over the course of the loan going to 0% interest. And that is huge. I know that the triplicate reported it in a certain way. I was kind of hoping the headlines would be more glowing about city saves ratepayers $15 million plus dollars. But that's okay. You have your ways of doing things. But it was a real, that staff worked for almost a year on this project, and you could see the result of that work during that 20-minute presentation. So I was honored to be there, and it's good news for us all. Oh, the other thing was I did attend the Big 5 ribbon cutting ceremony, and it's exciting to have that new business in town. I've already been purchasing things, so it's good.
Mr. Nia?
Yes, I attended the Redwood Coast Transit Board meeting. I also attended the Big 5 opening. And also Friday night I went to the holiday parade. Wasn't sure if I was going to attend that, but the rain stopped and the wind stopped, and for the parade it was good. And there was a lot of people there, and different vendors, and it was nice to see the community, and the holiday decorations that the city put up looked great. They really do. That's it.
All right. You know, I keep forgetting all the stuff that we do on there, because I was at the Big 5 ribbon cutting and did my first mayor's speech and welcomed into the community, which was great. Also was at the local, the Redwood Coast Transportation Board meeting. The main thing was I was shooting for the vacation time that I was getting from school, so everything else back burner besides that. And I'm glad that everybody had a really good vacation, and that the parade went off without a hitch. I know that my grandnieces had a great time there, and they were able to see, I think they had 70 entries, so it was very good. And I'm glad that the retail community is taking that over and is doing a great job, and I'm sure in the future they'll be continuing to do that. Also, on my report, I wanted to discuss appointment process. As you might know, us city council people are on many different boards and commissions that help, govern the rest of the entities in the county, and definitely we want to get people on the boards that have a passion with what they want to do. And so, giving the list out to the council members, there might not be very many changes. We'll probably try to keep people on the boards that are in the process of working through things on different commissions. But Mr. Inscore, definitely want to get your input on what you might want to do. We definitely have to replace Kelly Shalong on some of these boards, so take a good look at that, everybody, and get back to me with your recommendations, and by the next meeting we'll have appointments. So, any other business before tonight? Well, in that we'll adjourn. Being no further business to come before this council, We adjourn the meeting at about 6:56, what is it, 52? And we will see you again on December 15th, 2014 at 5 p.m.
Very good. All your meetings will be less than an hour?